Let us begin with the most obvious one, the most recent news, which is the Master Duel Forbidden and Limited List update. This one is particularly important, or like, I mean, not more important than other updates, but it is, I believe, the second to last Master Duel ban list update, at least from what I expect, until the Master Duel World Championships, right? I think we're only expecting one more, at some point in July, maybe. Actually, maybe it's two more because Worlds is very late this year. Worlds is in September, so maybe there's two more. Anyways, doesn't really matter for this. We got an update. Let's go through it. It's not a complete blind reaction because I did see an image over on Twitter. I was spoiled a little bit of some cards that were in here. I tried to not look for too long. But yeah. So, Magispector Unicorn Kirin going from 0 to 3, which is, first of all, that's a good change. Second of all, this is maybe teasing the Magispector support soon, because I don't think we have it yet, do we? Or am I misremembering? I don't think we have the new Link monster yet, or did they already put it in? Not yet. Okay, yeah. This is probably in anticipation of the new Magispector cards, which, I mean, look, if you want to mess around with the deck, as soon as the cards come out, feel free to. I don't expect it to be a super relevant meta deck. I don't know if it's going to be expensive or not at this point in time. I don't know if Magispector has a bunch of ultra rares. I can only see that this one is not an ultra rare. It's just a super. So I guess it's okay. But I have no issues with this change. I think Magispector in itself is completely fine. Kashtira Birth going from 2 to 3. I wonder if this means that there's also Kashtira hits on here. Like I said, I don't remember, or I didn't see all of the hits. I do think Kashtira Birth to 2 is a very weird spot for the card to be. Like, I think it's... On the one hand, I don't feel like the Kashtira cards need a buff right now, if anything. But at the same time... Most decks that play Kashtira cards are not actually pure Kashtira, right? Most people play the Kashtira cards as an engine, and whenever you play the Kashtira cards as an engine, you play only one birth anyways. So putting the Kashtira birth to 2 only really hurts pure Kashtira, which isn't that strong to begin with. I would kind of prefer if they just banned the Rysard and then had some of the other Kashtira cards at higher limitations, but okay. Yadagarasu from 1 to 3 is completely irrelevant, and a good thing that they took it off the ban list. And Tellar Knight Ptolemaeus, same thing. Right? This is just decluttering of the ban list. I actually quite like this because none of these cards are particularly scary or impactful at the moment. Kashtira Birth is being played, but not like 2 to 3 is not going to make a difference. So this is fine. Cards to be semi-limited. We got Bonfire, which is It's a very OCG / Master Duel hit. It's a consistency hit, right? I think it's fine. I don't disagree with it. I do think it's good that they are hitting ultra rares for the fire decks so that you do get back your ultra rare crafting points. Yeah, Bonfire is a strong card. I don't have an issue with it going to do. I am hoping that they are doing more to fire than just this, but it's an understandable hit. Zeus going from 1 to 2 is interesting. I do think if you put Zeus to 2, you might as well put it to 3. It's a little bit of a paleo buff. Unironically, that deck would probably play 2 Zeus if it could. It helps, I guess, Pearly. It helps, in general, it helps, what's it called? Decks playing against Kashtira. Like, it's low-key a Kashtira Unicorn nerf, right? The fact that you can now play 2 Zeus. The biggest implication of this, though, which was not the first thing that came to my mind, but this is massive for the World Championship format. Like, the shared card pool one, like, last year, we genuinely considered for a moment to use Zeus as a shared card to have multiple copies of it, but now you can just put it into 2 decks without having to make it the shared card. So This is obviously not something that applies to everyone and regular ranked Master Duel or whatever, but for the Worlds format, this is a pretty big deal, I think. So that's worth noting. Airlifter from 3 to 2. Okay, slight consistency hit to Rescue Ace. You guys know how I feel about consistency hits. Not the biggest fan of this. I do agree that Rescue Ace needs to get hit in some way, shape, or form. Losing one Bonfire and one Airlifter, I guess, is a hit to Rescue Ace. Probably, like, that matters, but I would have preferred if they did something different, but okay. Okay, Pearl Lily from 3 to 2 is the first hit on this ban list that actually makes, like, almost no sense. Like, for multiple reasons, Pearl Lily to 2 is not the right hit. First of all, Pearly isn't even that strong right now. Like, Pearly's solid, but I would not say that Pearly deserves to be hit at this moment, right? Didn't they just unhit something from Pearly, like 1 or 2 ban lists ago? Like, they brought something back, I think? Or was that... Am I mixing it up with the TCG? I don't remember, but... Either way, I don't feel like Pearly is the kind of deck in Master Duel right now that is a problem, needs to get hit, or is even being played in like ranked for the most part, right? It did okay it does okay in tournaments, it does okay in the World Championship qualifiers. In ranked, I don't even remember the last time I've played against Pearly. Like, it must have been a long time. So I don't know if I agree with this. And then the next thing is that people aren't even playing 3 Pearl Lilies all the time, right? I've definitely seen lists playing 2 Pearl Lilies already. Like, that was already not a 3 of staples. Like, you can play 3, but you didn't have to. Like, I've seen some people play 2. Which in that regard, I guess, makes it fine, because it's not that big of a deal anyways. But yeah. This one I don't really agree with, but I'm not personally playing Pearly that often, so I don't really care that much, but I don't agree that this needed to happen. A summon limit from 3 to 1. I mean, that's based, right? A summon limit, you don't see it as often in Master Duel as you do in the TCG, simply because we don't have a side deck, right? But I mean, I couldn't agree more with hitting Floodgates, so yes, good change. Oh, and then we had the Catapult Turtle. The Catapult Turtle and the Kaiser Colosseum to 0. This is very similar to the recent OCG list, right? It really was like a shake hands situation between the OCG and Master Duel of like, let's do some of these same changes, because they also got summon limit to 1, Kaiser Colosseum and Catapult Turtle banned, and they also got the Bonfire to 2, right, in the OCG, and they got like the Kirin lifted. So a bunch of similar changes between Master Duel and the OCG. Obviously, we already kind of know that that they are handled by, I don't know if it's the same department, but I think the OCG people handle both Master Duel and obviously the OCG. So to be expected. Overall, not the most impactful list. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I think the Floodgate hit is good. The consistency hits are meh, but kind of okay. The Zeus semi-limit, I personally am a fan of. I was never a huge fan of limited Zeus. I think, like, part is fine to be at more than 1. The unlimits are good because they are probably not too strong, so that's okay. So nothing terrible is happening here. You know, there are no huge mistakes being made on this ban list. It's also just not the most impactful one, right? Like, which is kind of what we're used to with Master Duel ban lists at this point, because they happen more frequently. It's like, well, just a little bit of stuff, you know, not much, but it is what it is. Nothing terrible, you know. It's just okay. It just exists, right? Fine. And that's really all there is to say, I feel like, at this point in time about this list. It doesn't get the greatest reaction out of me simply because it doesn't do that much, right? I really like this monthly small hit ban list. See, I've said this a bunch of time in the past. I am a fan I am a fan of more regular updates. And then sometimes it's okay if you only get small updates like that, because we know there's going to be another one next month, right? That is okay. I still do have a little bit of an issue with their overall philosophy, right? Like all the consistency hits and all that kind of stuff. I do want to say I did watch a video that you guys recommended me a ton to react to on stream. I didn't react to it on stream. I watched it yesterday when I took the day off. But it was basically an OCG player's opinion on the most recent OCG ban list as well. They gave an explanation of why no one in the OCG expected the maxi to actually get hit on the ban list, and also why like a little bit of a perspective of why they might do more of these consistency hits and not outright like ban something from a deck, right? And their explanation was basically that the culture behind Yu-Gi-Oh is a little different in the OCG or in Asia, where there's a lot more casual players and a lot more card games. So the philosophy is basically you make consistency hits happen to not make a deck unplayable. You just make it like statistically weaker, so that it doesn't appear as oppressive on a competitive stage anymore. But like the casual player that has gotten themselves their pet deck, their favorite deck or whatever it is, they just really like that particular deck, like early or rescue ace or whatever it is, right? They don't want to outright neuter it to a point where it becomes unplayable, because they are scared that those players might just switch over to a different card game, because they haven't been taking Yu-Gi-Oh as seriously anyways. They're just like casually playing it. Which I think, if that's true, if that's a lot more present, that sort of mentality in the OCG, that does make some sense, right? I mean, that's the thing, right? The Yu-Gi-Oh trading card game, as in like not the OCG, the original card game, has been doing super well with their approach for over 20 years, right? So I mean, they must be doing something right for their market, right? Can you please try to explain why was Pearly hit but almost nothing was done to fire decks? I guess there's two things to fire decks. I think on the one hand, you could hit cards that are fire cards in general, like Bonfire, Promethean Princess, or maybe some specific, like, because there's a bunch of different fire decks. Like, what do you have an issue with? Do you have an issue with Fire King? Because I personally don't find Fire King to be pretty much a problem at all. If I could choose a path to go down, I would just murder Snake Eyes, because everything else I kind of am fine with. Like, I'm fine with Salamangreat, I'm fine with Fire King, I'm even fine with Rescue Ace for the most part. The cards I have an issue with in all of those different decks is usually just the Snake Eye cards, right? So I'm kind of hoping that they just neuter the Snake Eye / Diabellstar archetype to a point where it doesn't become splashable in every single deck anymore. And then we can just play Fire King, and that's fine. Because I think pure Fire King is just like a very fun, viable, but not too oppressive, like tier 2 strategy. The same is true for Salamangreat at the moment. I think the only thing that makes these decks broken and brings them up into like tier 1 top meta stuff is all the Snake Eye cards. So I genuinely think these last, and this is the same thing I said in my TCG ban list discussion a couple, like 1 or 2 weeks ago. You can check it out on YouTube if you're interested. But it's basically a very similar argument, where I said I think Snake Eyes in these last couple months has really like gate kept us from having a really cool format, because we have so many decks right now that are actually completely fine and actually cool and enjoyable to play, but like as soon as you throw the Snake Eye cards into the mix, it all becomes a little out of hand. It gets out of hand and kind of cringe, but yeah.